All right, well, hello again. We're here outside the landmark Glendale Cinema after having just watched Cry Macho. I, of course, am your host, Christopher Lloyd, here with my old friend, Omar Brito, and we are here to review the newest Clint Eastwood movie, which, yes, it's Friday evening, unfortunately, before we're getting this, because the studio opted not to screen it for us. And usually we go hit it on a Thursday night when it's coming out for that Thursday night first preview. Didn't even have that option with old sneaky Mr. Clint. He likes to just put his movies out there and not give you any notice about it. But so here we are. We're doing another flash review. So Omar, what'd you think of Cry Macho?
I enjoyed it. The only thing I can think of, the only thing that kept the theme that kept resonating for me and throughout the movie was, when I'm 91, I hope women look at me the way they look at the way they look at Clint Eastwood in that film, because Clint Eastwood is getting a bevy of Mexican beauties, and he looks like he's 91 years old.
Yeah, not just one, but two.
Yes, two
hot
very
young Mexican ladies.
attractive women.
Well, actually, I think one was. I guess they're both older. Like one would be in her 40s and one may be in her 50s.
Yes,
So
yeah.
they're. And I don't think his character in this is supposed to be 91. I'm guessing his character in this is supposed to be more like 70
That's
or
true,
so.
That's true.
So it's on the fringe of probable or acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that was the biggest. I couldn't get that out of my brain. Was he was attractive to every single woman that he met, and I'm thinking to myself, poor guy can barely say his lines anymore.
Yeah.
It seems like every word that he enunciated was a breath to come out.
Yeah, his voice
very labored.
I thought he looks
labored.
pretty good for his age. His
fantastic
voice
for
is a
91.
little strangled.
Fantastic for 91.
You know, it's kind of like the dirty Harry, but you know now he can't just turn it on or off.
Yes.
It's always there. Well, so if you know the story of Cry Macho, he plays Mike, an old broken down former rodeo cowboy who is sent by his friend and boss, played by Dwight Yoakam, down to Mexico to rescue / kidnap / befriend his teenage son who's been staying with his mom. Some more stuff comes out there about exactly why the dad is doing that, which we'll leave for you to discover. But anyway, so it's one of these like very typical road movies, a physical journey, a metaphorical journey. So Mike goes down there, meets up with the kid. They have all sorts of troubles getting back to from Mexico to Texas, learn a lot about themselves, all that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it. I mean, it is definitely minor key Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
This is not among his best films, probably more towards the middle. It's a very simple film. It's simple and sweet. It sort of reminds me of like black coffee with sugar. Like that's all that has going on in it. Is nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy.
No ornamentation. It's very spare. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's the sort of movie that when you make when you're 91.
Black coffee, scrambled eggs, a tortilla.
Yeah.
No avocado toast.
No avocado. No avocado toast.
No.
There's no olive oil. No fricassee.
There's no aioli.
No aioli sauce.
But
nothing.
Like you said, to go off on that, very simple, very sweet. I found myself reminiscing about being younger.
Yeah.
And because in the movie, Clint Eastwood's character was a stud.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day, and so he's reliving his life, and so I found myself getting kind of emotional when he was talking about his past.
Yeah.
And teaching the young boy that he's with about life and about
being a man, manly values, what it means to be macho, what a kid of 13 growing up in Mexico thinks macho is.
Yes.
And the kid he's been in trouble, he's been running from his mom, getting in trouble stealing cars, doing cockfights, and so he has his pet rooster, Macho,
named Macho,
who's with them for the whole journey.
He's a pretty important character. He's like
really,
the third wheel.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. So the movie, with the setup and the basic story of here's what's happening, he's going to go on the journey, bring the kid. I have to admit, I was not terribly interested in that whole part. And the movie kind of, the first third or so really is just going down that way. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what's going on. And then the movie takes like a detour, which you think is just a detour, which is they stop in this little town where you think it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to be two scenes in the town, and then it goes on and it goes on. They actually leave, and then they come back, and he meets up with this woman who runs the cantina there, meets her family. And so like that ends up becoming the movie, which it really surprised me. I was not expecting that to be the story. Right. And I think that's really kind of where the twist paid off for me, was because I didn't want to just have, 2 hours of Clint Eastwood talking about what it means to be a man. And we find out kind of by, this guy, he's old, he's hurt, he lost his family, lost everything in his life. And now, at the end of his life, he says, no, just, being here, staying with this woman, fixing her jukebox, and just, being around there and helping out with her granddaughters, that's being a man.
And it's more than enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's, many times he says that, being macho is overrated?
Yeah, being
right?
macho is overrated.
He repeats that multiple times.
Yeah.
So I that also resonated with me as well. You know how when we get older, we mellow out.
Some do.
Some
do.
do. I think Clint has mellowed.
Yeah,
I think he's mellowed out.
Some people, our friend Emily Wheeler, who's been on these videos before, was just catching up with some old Clint Eastwood movies that she hadn't seen because, of course, she's younger than us. So Unforgiven was a new movie to her.
Oh, wow. And
this movie really, I think, in a lot of ways, kind of stands as like, a spiritual inheritor to Unforgiven. I mean, Unforgiven, people forget, that was 30 years ago, but, Eastwood was still kind of at the end of his prime. He'd been making those sort of dirty, hairy, macho movies right through the 80s. And I think that was his movie where he sort of said, I'm going to take my star persona as the tough man of violence and set that aside and say, no, that really doesn't have the value that I've sort of imbued with it all these years. And I think this would be, for me at least, I felt a lot of the same notes are here. In this case, it's not so much about the violence, but just about a man who has clung to his idea of manhood and what it means, what's important and what's not. And now he kind of has to go through the experience with the kid to find out that maybe those things that he thought were important aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same as
if I'm going to nitpick the movie, some of the performances aren't great. I'm not going to pick on the kid because he's a kid who plays the son of his friend. It very much feels like a first big movie role for him. He's doing a lot of this. I'm going to deliver my lines while I'm looking off to make them important. It's like, reel it back, kid. Reel it back, kid. So, sort of thing where it's like, maybe if he'd picked a little more seasoned actor for his cohort, I would have liked that. Anything else for you stick out as maybe, that could have been done better?
Well, so there were scenes where the characters speak in full Spanish, and if you don't speak Spanish, you don't know what the characters are saying.
Yeah, of the two of us, one speaks Spanish.
So I knew what was going on, and I was going to tell you, this is what's happening, but the boy narrator, he basically plays the subtitle, so he basically says everything that the characters say, which I thought was kind of weird because he narrates everything that maybe should have been subtitled so that you don't have to then spend the time.
They kind of step away towards the end after they've been around in a town for a while. He's picked up a little bit of the lingo.
That's true, yes, and some sign language.
There with the thing. I don't know. It's a surprisingly sweet movie. I mean,
I don't want to nitpick it because I did have a good time. There were times where just Clint Eastwood's face or expression makes me laugh or makes me feel something.
I'll say he has one great scene where they're in a little church shrine. It's almost like, again, going back to Unforgiven, it's like that moment in the campfire speech in Unforgiven where it's like, we all got it coming, kid. Where it's really just laying it all out there, the themes. And he kind of has a similar moment there. Same thing, even where like his head is tipped down in the brim of his cowboy hat, so you don't actually see his eyes. So he's just like acting with the lower half of his face. That was really primo stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that was the standout moment of the film for me.
I agree.
All right. Well, that was our review of Cry Macho, the new Clint Eastwood movie. We enjoy doing these flash reviews, as we call them. We'd love to do it if the studios would actually let us see it before it comes out, so we could do a full-on review. But these are fun too, and it seems like you guys are enjoying them. So join us for the next one.